First, remember that illuminated exit signs will always show you the way. Please remain calm and follow these signs in an orderly manner. Now, for your specific location. If you are on the plenary floor, exits are at both ends, leading to the north and south wing lobbies. You may also use the main entrance glass doors, which open toward the flagpole area. If you are
Please remain standing for the invocation to be delivered by Representative Sara Jane Ilago of Gabriela Party List.
We join today across diverse faiths in prayer for guidance, reflection, and hope. As this chamber convenes, we pray that the deliberations undertaken here be guided first and foremost by a profound sense of accountability to the people. We pray for transparency in every process, that the light of public scrutiny may shine upon all our actions, ensuring that power is exercised for the common good of the people. We pray for a steadfast commitment to justice. May the laws and policies shaped in this hall be instruments for the protection of human rights, for the right to a life free from hunger, for the right to peaceful assembly and expression, for the right to seek truth and redress. May the voices of the most affected, the farmers and fisher folk struggling against high cost of fuel, the workers seeking secure jobs and living wages, the families toiling for every meal, be heard as the central concern of legislation. Finally, we pray that this session be our collective call to address the urgent needs of our time, and may our work today and every day be genuine steps towards relief, prosperity, and a more just future for all. Let this be our common prayer from all faiths and convictions, for the good of our nation and its people. Amen.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, may I request the members to take their seats and observe proper decorum, and I move to call the roll of members.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The Secretary General is directed to call the roll of members.
Roll call of members: Abalos, Abante, Asidre, Acop, Acosta, Adyong, Advincula, Agarao, Agyao, Alano, Alba, Albano, Almario Chino Miguel, Almario Dennis, Almonte, Alvarez Jose, Alvarez Mercedes, Amante, Amatong, Ang, Angara, Angeles, Aquino, Aquino Magsaysay, Arbison Munir, Arbison Munir Jr., Arenas, Arrogancia, Asistio, Ataide, Aumentado, Ayon, Bagao, Balindong, Banyas Nograles, Bangkoro, Barba, Barbers, Baronda, Barsaga, Baskug, Bautista Claude, Bautista Joan Monique, Bautista Lim, Beltran, Benitez Alfredo, Benitez Javier Miguel, Bernos Ching, Bernos JB, Biron, Bocobo, Bolilia, Bondok, Briones, Bulot Begtang, Cagas, Calderon, Calixto, Kawagdan, Kari, Castro, Cayton, Celeste, Sendanya, Ceniza, Chan, Jan Franz Norbert Joselito Almario, Chan Junard, Chua, Chua Tai, Chungalaw, Ko Pilar, Coangco Jaime Eduardo Mark, Coangco Mark, Colliantes, Corvera, Cruz Agatha, Cruz Ricardo, Cruzado, Kua, Dagook, Dalog, Dayanghirang, Daza, De Jesus, De Lima, De Venecia, Defensor, De Gamo, Del Mar, De Los Santos, Di Makuha, Di Magila, Di Maporo Imelda, Di Maporo City Amina, Diokno, Dionisio, Domingo, Domogan, Duterte Harold James, Duterte Omar Vincent, Duterte Paulo, D. Faustino, D. Faustino Michael Carlos, D. Ian Paul, Elago, Emano, Enverga, Erice, Escudero, Espares, Espina, Estrella, Ferrer Antonio, Ferrer Jeffrey, Flores, Cortez, Frasco, Fresnedi, Fuentebella, Galang, Galeyos, Garbin, Garcia Albert, Garcia Dante, Garcia Jose Arturo, Garcia Karen Hope, Garcia Maria Angela, Guardiola, Garin, Gatchalian, Gato, Glepa, Gomez, Gonzales Alexandria, Gonzales Alisa Micaela, Gonzales Christopher Sheen, Gonzales Roy, Goriseta, Guico, Gintu, Gulyas, Gutierrez, Hernandez Cherise Ann, Hernandez Dennis, Hernandez Ferdinand, Hernandez Ramil, Hofer Hasim, Oribata, Ismula, Iway, Javier, Ko Antonio, Ko Elisa, Ko Wilton, Kong Hun, Ko, Labad-Labad, Lacson, Lagbas, Lagdameo Jose Manuel, Lagdameo Monique Yasmin Maria, Lagman, Lagon Daphne, Lagon Sonny, Lara, Lasatin, Ledesma, Legacion, Legarda, Legaspi, Leviste, Libanan, Lopez, Gloria, Loyola, Luistro, Lumayag, Makapagal Arroyo, Makasaet, Maceda, Madrona, Malapitan, Mangudadatu, Manikis, Maranyon, Marcoleta, Marcos, Marquez, Mastura, Matibag, Matugas, Mendoza, Mercado, Mercado Revilla, Miraflores, Momo, Montes, Nava, Nazal, Nisay, Nolasco, Ominal Henry, Oeminal Sancho Fernando, Oducado, Olivares, Ongchuan, Ordanes, Oreta, Ortega, Uano Dizon, Padiernos, Panaligan, Pancho, Panotes, Pascual, Perez, Pimentel, Plaza, Plato, Poe, Primicias Agabas, Pumaren, Puno, Kimbo, Rama, Recto, Regencia, Remulla, Revilla Brian, Revilla Ramon Jolo, Ridon, Rivera, Robes, Rodriguez Yuloyo, Rodriguez Maximo, Rodriguez Rufus, Roman, Romualdez Andrew Julian, Romualdez Ferdinand Martin, Romualdez Yeda Marie, Romualdo, Romulo, Roque, Sagar Baria, Sakaluran, Salceda, Sally, Salvacion, Salvador, Salvame, San Fernando, Santos Maria Alana Samantha, Santos Mark Anthony, Shimura, Singson Richelle, Singson Ronald, Singson Mihan, Solon, Soriano, Suwan, Swansing Bella Vanessa, Swansing Micaela Angela, Suarez, Suntay, Talyado, Tan Ayman, Tan Joseph, Tan Keith Mika, Tan Reynolds Michael, Tan Samir, Tan Stephen James, Tan Chay, Tan Watko, Tariela, Yodoro, Tereng, Teves, Tiangco, Tieng, Tinio, Tolentino, Tuan, Tulfo Jocelyn, Tulfo Ralph Wendell, Tupas, Chutor, T, Umali, Ungab, Uy De Carlo, Uy Roberto, Valeriano, Vargas, Vargas Alfonso, Veloso, Veloso Tuazon, Vergara, Villa, Villafuerte Miguel Luis, Villafuerte Vincenzo Renato Luigi, Villanueva, Villarica, Violago, Yamsuan, Yap Arthur, Yap Christopherson, Yap Eric, Yap John Gisnel, Yatko, Inares, Yu Jazel Victoria, Yu Joseph Kim, Yulo, Zamora Maria Carmen, Zamora Isabel Maria, Zubiri. Mr. Speaker, the roll call shows that 250 members responded to the call.
With 250 members responding to the call, the chair declares the presence of a quorum. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to defer the approval of the journal of our previous session.
Is there any objection? There being none, the motion is approved. The journal of the previous session is hereby deferred. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we proceed with the reference of business, and my request that the Secretary General be directed to call the title of the bills and resolutions on first reading, as well as our communications and community reports.
There being no objection, the motion is approved. The Secretary General is hereby directed to read the titles of the bills, resolutions on the first reading, as well as communications and committee reports for referral to the appropriate committees.
Reference of business. Bills on first reading. House Bill number 9079, an act amending RA 8293, otherwise known as the Intellectual Property Code of the Philippines, to allow the registration of non-visible marks and for other purposes. By Representative Dalo.
To the Committee on Trade and Industry.
House Bill number 9080, an act to create a healthy food environment by requiring front-of-package warning labels for food high in fat, sodium, or sugar, and regulating the marketing of such food to children. By Representative Aquino Magsaysay.
To the Committee on Health and the Committee on Welfare and Children.
House Bill number 9081, an act amending Section 3 of RA 11210, otherwise known as the Expanded Maternity Leave Law, by providing additional maternity leave benefits to women diagnosed with postpartum depression and for other purposes. By Representative Recto.
To the Committee on Civil Service, Professional Regulation, and the Committee of Labor and Employment.
House Bill number 9082, an act institutionalizing maternal mental health services in all government health facilities, integrating psychosocial support in the first 1,000 days program, providing funds therefore and for other purposes. By Representative Recto.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill number 9083, an act abolishing the Optical Media Board, repealing for this purpose RA 9239, otherwise known as the Optical Media Act of 2003, transferring its powers, functions, assets, and personnel to the Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines, and for other purposes. By Representative Suwan.
To the Committee on Public Information and Committee on Government Reorganization.
House Bill number 9084, an act establishing a national registry system, providing for its governance, interoperability, and data sharing mechanisms, and appropriating funds therefore. By Representative Montes.
To the Committee on Population and Family Relations.
House Bill number 9085, an act establishing the Philippine Strategic Petroleum Reserve System, providing for an emergency oil price stabilization mechanism, providing funds therefore, and strengthening national energy security. By Representative Montes.
To the Committee on Energy.
House Bill number 9086, an act providing for the promotion and acceleration of household solar adoption and appropriating funds therefore. By Representative Montes.
To the Committee on Energy.
House Bill number 9087, an act promoting the development and utilization of solar energy in all national and local government buildings and offices, and appropriating funds therefore. By Representative Montes.
To the Committee on Energy.
House Bill number 9088, an act strengthening the sugar industry by expanding the mandate and composition of the Sugar Regulatory Administration, rationalizing the allocation of the Sugar Industry Development Fund, and institutionalizing systems for trade remedies and climate adaptation, amending for the purpose Executive Order number 18, Series of 1986, and RA 10659, otherwise known as the Sugarcane Industry Development Act of 2015, and for other purposes. By Representative Benitez Javier Miguel.
To the Committee on Agriculture and Food.
House Bill number 9089, an act to recognize and protect the rights of nature in the Philippines. By Representatives Tereng and Garcia Dante.
To the Committee on Ecology.
House Bill number 9090, an act criminalizing ecocide and providing penalties for the commission thereof. By Representatives Tereng and Garcia Dante.
To the Committee on Justice.
House Bill number 9091, an act guaranteeing universal and free access to period products and other reproductive health items, strengthening and expanding RA 10354, otherwise known as the Responsible Parenthood and Reproductive Health Act of 2012, and appropriating funds therefore. By Representative Lagbas.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill numbers 9092, 9093, 9095, and 9096. An act establishing multi-species freshwater fish and marine hatcheries in certain barangays in the province of Misamis Oriental. By Representative Lagbas.
To the Committee on Aquaculture, Fisheries and Resources.
House Bill number 9094. An act instituting a national plan of action for the care, support, and inclusion of persons with autism spectrum disorder and appropriating funds therefore. By Representative Lagbas.
To the Committee on Health and Special Committee on Persons with Disabilities.
House Bill number 9097, an act upgrading the first Misamis Oriental General Hospital in Medina, Misamis Oriental to a Level 2 General Hospital. By Representative Lagbas.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill number 9098, an act declaring the municipality of Magsaysay, province of Misamis Oriental, as the Hawksbill Turtle capital of the Philippines. By Representative Lagbas.
To the Committee on Natural Resources.
House Bill number 9099, an act strengthening the Anti-Drunk and Drug Driving Act of 2013, amending for the purpose RA 10586, and providing stiffer penalties therefore. By Representative Gomez.
To the Committee on Transportation.
House Bill number 9100, an act mandating government officials and employees to execute and submit a written permission to examine, inquire, or look into all their deposits and investments, thereby waiving the bank secrecy law as provided for under RA numbers 1405 and 6426. By Representative Soriano.
To the Committee on Banks and Financial Intermediaries.
House Bill number 9101, an act providing for a comprehensive and responsive civil registration and vital statistics system, providing funds therefore and for other purposes. By Representative Soriano.
To the Committee on Population and Family Relations.
House Bill number 9102, an act granting a 50% discount from funeral services to indigent families and free funeral services to extremely poor families nationwide, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes. By Representative Soriano.
To the Committee on Social Services.
House Bill number 9103, an act penalizing the act of wage theft by amending for this purpose Articles 87 and 116 of Presidential Decree number 442 as amended, otherwise known as the Labor Code of the Philippines. By Representative Soriano.
To the Committee on Labor and Employment.
House Bill number 9104, an act enhancing the discount on the purchase of goods and services of senior citizens and persons with disabilities. By Representative Bocobo.
To the Committee on Ways and Means, the Committee on Senior Citizens, the Special Committee on Persons with Disabilities.
House Bill number 9105, an act expanding the grounds for annulment of marriage and legal separation under Articles 45 and 55 and other related provisions under Articles 46, 48, 55, and 57 of Executive Order number 209 or the Family Code of the Philippines and for other purposes. By Representative Abante.
To the Committee on Revision of Laws.
House Bill number 9106, an act amending sections 40, 43F, and 60 of RA 9136, otherwise known as the Electric Power and Industry Reform Act of 2001 or EPIRA, to prohibit the recovery of system losses from consumers and for other purposes. By Representatives Oducado and Hernandez Charis-An.
To the Committee on Energy.
House Bill number 9107, an act amending certain provisions of RA 10659, otherwise known as the Sugarcane Industry Development Act of 2015, to modernize and to facilitate competitiveness of the sugar industry. By Representative Dimacuja.
To the Committee on Agriculture and Food.
Resolutions. House Resolution 981, resolution directing the Committee on Energy to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the implementation of RA 9513, otherwise known as the Renewable Energy Act of 2008, with the end view of enhancing and strengthening the country's exploration, development, promotion, and utilization of renewable energy. By Representative Montes.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 982, resolution directing the Committee on Energy to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the collection, utilization, status, and impact of the lifeline rate, feed-in tariff allowance, and the Green Energy Auction Reserve Allowance, with the end view of ensuring transparency and accountability in the management of these funds, assessing their effectiveness in promoting renewable energy development and lowering electricity costs, recommending legislative measures to strengthen oversight, improve fund utilization, and safeguard consumer welfare. By Representative Montes.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 983, resolution urging the PSA to expedite the full rollout and distribution of the Philippine Identification Card and directing the appropriate House Committee to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation into the delays in its issuance despite statutory mandates and significant public expenditures. By Representative Poe.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 985, resolution congratulating and commending Ms. Bea Milan Windorsky of the province of La Union for being crowned Miss Universe Philippines 2026. By Representative Ortega.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 986, resolution directing the Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability and other appropriate committees of the House of Representatives to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation into the implementation of the PhilSys by the PSA, to investigate the delays and challenges in the printing, production, and delivery of the physical Philippine identification cards, and to recommend remedial measures to ensure its full, efficient, and timely implementation. By Representative Pumaren.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 987, resolution directing the Committee on Ways and Means and the Committee on Local Government to conduct jointly or separately an inquiry in aid of legislation into the taxation practices of Asiana Business Park Estate Association, Inc., a non-stock non-profit corporation, to determine potential violations of Philippine taxation laws. By Representative Adyong.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 988, resolution directing the appropriate committee of the House of Representatives to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation into the alleged irregularities, graft, and misconduct involving officials of the DOTR in connection with the Stratcom Corporation contract, with the end in view of ensuring transparency, accountability, and the protection of public interest in government contracts. By Representative Odocado.
To the Committee on Rules.
Communication. Letter dated April 29, 2026 of the BSP Bank Officer 6, Office of the General Counsel and Legal Services, transmitting to the House of Representatives a duly certified copy of Circular Letter Number CL 2026-019, dated 17 April 2026.
To the Committee on Banks and Financial Intermediaries.
Committee reports. Committee report numbers 262, 263, 264, 265, 266, and 267, submitted by the Committees on Transportation and Appropriations on House Bill numbers 9150, 9151, 9152, 9153, 9154, and 9155, respectively. Committee report number 268, submitted by the Committees on Energy, Ecology, Appropriations, and Ways and Means on House Bill number 9157.
The aforementioned committee reports are all referred to the Committee on Rules. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, in relation to the distribution of Committee Report number 261 on House Resolution number 989 entitled A Resolution Setting Forth the Articles of Impeachment against Vice President Sara Z. Duterte, we have been informed by the Secretary General that in addition to the electronic and printed copies of the said committee report earlier distributed to all members, USB storage devices containing the electronic copies thereof were also made available to all members.
Manifestation of Majority Leader is duly noted.
Mr. Speaker, likewise, we have been informed by the Secretary General that the electronic copies of Committee Report number 261, together with the attached House Resolution number 989 and all annexes, were sent to the complainants, respondent, and counsels through their email addresses.
Manifestation of Majority Leader is duly noted.
Mr. Speaker, before we proceed, may I request that the gentleman from Davao City, the Honorable Isidro Ungab, be recognized for a parliamentary inquiry.
Honorable Representative Isidro Ungab, 3rd District of City of Davao, is hereby recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise on a parliamentary inquiry. Before this chamber proceeds to consider the committee report, the accompanying resolution, and the articles of impeachment, I respectfully seek clarification from the chair on the proceedings that shall govern our deliberations this afternoon. First, will the chair allow period of interpellation on the committee report, the resolution, and the articles of impeachment before any motion for their approval is entered? This inquiry I raise, Mr. Speaker, is because members of this chamber who do not sit as members in the Justice Committee and who therefore had no opportunity to propound questions, examine witnesses, or test the evidence during the committee proceedings must be afforded a meaningful opportunity to do so now on the floor of this plenary, because we are called upon to cast a vote of such grave constitutional consequence. Second, if interpellation shall be allowed, may the chair clarify the pattern, the manner, and the time allocation that shall govern it, consistent with the rules of procedure of the House and the rules governing the conduct of plenary sessions. Specifically, who among the members of the committee shall be designated to defend and respond the interpellation on the report, the resolution, and the articles? Will interpellation be conducted on each instrument separately, the report, the resolution, and the articles of impeachment, or jointly? What shall be the time allotment per interpellator? And shall there be a right of rejoinder or maybe a second round of interpellation? Mr. Speaker, the necessity of this inquiry is very important. We are not voting on an ordinary legislation. We are being asked to exercise one of the most solemn powers vested by the Constitution in this House, the power to impeach. The gravity of the power demands that every member, whether or not affiliated with the committee, be given full opportunity to be informed, to inquire, and to be heard before casting their vote. To proceed otherwise, to vote on the committee report, the resolution, and the articles without interpellation would not only deprive the non-committee members of this chamber of their right to participate meaningfully in this constitutional process, it would also expose the proceedings themselves to legitimate questions of due process, both within this institution and before the bar of public opinion, and ultimately before the Senate sitting as an impeachment court. I therefore respectfully request that the chair rule on this matter before we proceed. That is my parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, we are exercising our constitutional duty of the highest order under our Constitution. And in response to the parliamentary inquiry of the Honorable Ungab, yes, there will be interpellations and manifestations will be allowed from the members of the minority and the majority and the independents. Like what the Honorable Ungab said, we are not passing an ordinary legislation. Our rules that govern today's proceedings are found under sections 11, 12, and 13 of the House Rules on Impeachment. However, we have made sure that members will be afforded their due time and their due process in order to ask questions and give their manifestations. The chair or the presiding officer will later on lay down the grounds for interpellations and as well as the manner by which the members can interpellate as well as the period of interpellation. Mr. Presiding Officer, let me also be clear that we will deliberate jointly the committee report as well as the articles of impeachment for today's deliberations. I hope that the same has been clarified, and my request that the parliamentary inquiry of the Honorable Ungab as well as the response thereto be duly noted in the journal of today's session.
Noted. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Article 11, Section 2 of the Philippine Constitution, I move that we consider Committee Report number 261 submitted by the Committee on Justice on House Resolution number 989, and for this purpose, may I request that the Secretary General be directed to read the title of the resolution.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the resolution. Honorable members. Okay, read the title first.
House Resolution number 989, resolution setting forth the articles of impeachment against Vice President Sara Z. Duterte.
The honorable members of the House of Representatives, distinguished guests, members of the media, the visitors in the galleries, the presiding officer reminds everyone present that these proceedings are being conducted pursuant to the solemn constitutional mandate and duty vested upon the House of Representatives and its members under the Constitution. This is also in consonance with the due process of law enshrined in our Constitution and pronounced by the Supreme Court. Accordingly, all persons within the plenary hall and the galleries are enjoined to observe proper parliamentary decorum and orderly conduct at all times. Members who seek recognition to speak, interpolate, or make manifestations shall be accorded a minimum period of 3 minutes for each non-assignable. The use of offensive, disrespectful, or unparliamentary language, as well as any disorderly conduct that may disrupt the proceeding, shall not be permitted. All manifestations, remarks, interpellations, interventions must be strictly germane to the resolution presently under consideration. Members are likewise reminded to address their remarks through the presiding officer and to observe the standards of parliamentary courtesy and conduct. The presiding officer further reminds all present that demonstrations of approval or disapproval, including clapping, cheering, shouting, booing, displaying placards or similar acts shall not be allowed within the session hall and galleries. Silence, order, and decorum must be maintained at all times while the proceedings are ongoing. The presiding officer requests the cooperation of everyone in maintaining the solemn dignity and integrity of these proceedings. Thank you. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to recognize the Chair of the Committee on Justice, Representative Attorney Jervil Jinky Beatrix R. Luistro, to sponsor the measure.
Honorable Representative Attorney Jervil Jinky Beatrix Luistro, 2nd District, Batangas, is hereby recognized.
Mr. Speaker, my distinguished colleagues, magandang hapon po. I rise today not in triumph, nor in anger, nor in pursuit of political advantage. I rise because the Constitution commands us to rise. I stand before this chamber carrying not privilege, but duty. Isang mabigat na tungkulin na ipinagkatiwala sa atin ng saligang batas at ng sambayanang Pilipino. Sa mga pagkakataong gaya nito, sinusubok hindi lamang ang isang opisyal, kundi ang tibay ng ating mga institusyon, ang katapatan natin sa batas, at ang ating kakayanan na unahin ang bayan kaysa sa politika. On behalf of the Committee on Justice, and in faithful compliance with our constitutional mandate, I rise to sponsor Committee Report number 261, together with House Resolution number 989, setting forth the articles of impeachment against the Vice President of the Republic. Mr. Speaker, simple lamang ang hinihingi ng pagkakataong ito sa atin. Sundin natin ang konstitusyon. Nothing more, nothing less. Hindi po kami narito upang humatol ng pagkakasala. Hindi rin kami narito upang magparusa. Ang tanong lamang na nasa harap natin ngayon, may sapat bang dahilan upang ipagpatuloy ang paglilitis sa Senado? Iyan lamang po ang tanong. At iyan ang sagradong tungkulin na ipinapasa ngayon ng Committee on Justice sa buong kapulungan. Hawak po natin ngayon ang bunga ng mahabang proseso. Hindi ito nabuo sa isang gabi. Hindi ito produkto ng chismis, galit, o sigaw sa social media. Committee Report, 52 pages. House Resolution, 18 pages. Articles of Impeachment, 23 pages. At lampas pa rito ay libu-libong pahina ng annexes, records, certifications, testimonya, financial documents, at deliberations na masusing pinag-aralan ng Committee on Justice. Bawat pahina ay may bigat. Bawat dokumento ay may implikasyon. Bawat testimonya ay may kaakibat na pananagutan. Nagawa na po ng Committee on Justice ang bahagi nito. We examined the evidence. We tested the arguments. We listened to every side. We placed everything on record. At ngayon, ang desisyon ay nasa kamay na ng buong House of Representatives. Tayo ngayon ang haharap sa sambayanang Pilipino upang sagutin ang isang simpleng tanong. Kapag may mabigat na aligasyon laban sa isa sa pinakamataas na opisyal ng Republika, ano ang dapat gawin ng House of Representatives? Tumingin sa kabila, manahimik, o sundin ang konstitusyon? Nitong mga nakaraang araw, paulit-ulit nating narinig ang isang tanong. May numero ba tayo? Ilan daw ang boboto? Kaya ba ang 1/3 vote? May umatras na raw. May nag-withdraw na raw. Wala pang ang botohan. May bilang na agad ng mga sumusuko. Pero, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, iyan ba talaga ang pinakamahalagang tanong ngayon? Because if we remember, we already went through this process before. Noong nakaraang impeachment proceedings, mayroon ng sapat na numero. 215 kasapi ng kapulungang ito ang bumoto upang isulong ang impeachment. Isa iyon sa pinakamalaking bilang sa kasaysayan ng ating Kongreso. Pero ano ang nangyari? Tinigil ng Korte Suprema. At mahalagang linawin kung ano ang tunay na sinabi ng Korte Suprema. Hindi nila sinabi na wala nang dapat sagutin. Hindi nila sinabi na walang kailangang ipaliwanag. Hindi nila sinabi na bawal nang magkaroon muli ng impeachment proceedings. Ang sinabi ng Korte Suprema ay ito: kung gagawin natin ito, gawin natin ang tama. Sundin natin ang proseso. Sundin natin ang konstitusyon. At iyan po ang ginawa ng Committee on Justice. Kaya ang tunay na tanong ngayon ay hindi lamang kung may numero tayo. Ang mas mahalagang tanong, sinunod ba natin ang proseso? At higit sa lahat, mayroon ba tayong ebidensya? Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, proseso at ebidensya. Iyan ang pundasyon ng bawat makatarungang lipunan. At ang sagot po natin ay isang malinaw at matatag na opo. Sa proseso, naging maingat tayo. Hindi tayo nagmadali. Sinunod natin ang 1-year bar rule. Pinigyan natin ng pagkakataon ng bawat panig. Ang mga pagdinig ay isinagawa ng hayagan, naka-livestream at bukas sa taong bayan. At higit sa lahat, pinakinggan natin maging ang mga tumututol sa impeachment. Pinakinggan natin ang bawat manifestation, bawat argumento, bawat legal na punto. Hindi tayo naghanap ng shortcut. Naghanap tayo ng katotohanan. At maging malinaw po tayo, ang prosesong ito ay hindi paghamak sa mga Pilipinong sumusuporta sa Vice Presidente. Sa isang demokrasya, ang suporta ng mamamayan ay dapat igalang. Ngunit kahit gaano kataas ang posisyon, kahit gaano kalakas ang suporta, walang sino man ang lampas sa pananagutan sa ilalim ng konstitusyon. Hindi ito usapin ng apelyido, partido o rehiyon. Ang prinsipyo ng pananagutan ay dapat umiiral kanino man, kaalyado man o kalaban. At kapag may aligasyon laban sa sino mang opisyal ng pamahalaan, maging miyembro man ng House of Representatives, Senado o Ehekutibo, dapat itong imbestigahan at sagutin sa ilalim ng batas. Walang puwang sa isang tunay na demokrasya ang selective accountability. At sa ebidensya naman, nakita natin ang mga dokumento na hindi maaaring ipagsawalang pahala. Mga certification mula sa PSA, mga disallowance mula sa COA, mga records ng transaksyon mula sa AMLC, mga dokumentong isinumite mismo sa Committee on Justice at isinama sa official records ng kapulungang ito. Nakakita tayo ng mga pangalang walang official records. Nakakita tayo ng mga confidential funds na idineklarang disallowed at pinababalik sa kaban ng bayan. At nakita rin natin ang ulat na nagpapakita ng bilyong-bilyong piso ng inflow at outflow na mga transaksyon sa loob ng maraming taon. Maaaring may paliwanag sa bawat transaksyon. Ngunit sa laki, lawak at pattern ng mga ito, tungkulin nating tiyakin na ang mga ito ay maipaliwanag ng lubos sa tamang forum at sa ilalim ng panunumpa. At habang pinag-uusapan natin ang bilyon-bilyong piso, alalahanin natin kung kaninong pera ito. Pera ito ng manggagawang pumapasok kahit kulang ang pamasahe. Pera ito ng magulang na nagtitiis upang mapag-aral ang anak. Pera ito ng pamilyang pumipila sa ospital, ngunit walang pambili ng gamot. Pera ito ng mga Pilipino na araw-araw nagbabayad ng puwis habang umaasang tapat ang mga pinunong kanilang pinagkatiwalaan. Kaya kapag may mga tanong tungkol sa paggamit ng pera ng bayan, hindi maaaring manahimik ang House of Representatives. At sa kabila ng lahat ng ito, isang bakanteng upuan ang humarap sa Committee on Justice. Hindi dumalo ang Vice Presidente upang personal na sagutin ang mga isyong ibinabato laban sa kanya. Ngunit sa ating sistema, ang mga seryosong aligasyon ay kailangan sagutin sa pamamagitan ng ebidensya at testimonya sa ilalim ng panunumpa. Gayunpaman, kahit wala siya sa pagdinig, pinag-aralan pa rin ng Committee on Justice ang bawat dipensang inilabas ng kanyang kampo. At matapos ang mahabang deliberasyon, matapos ang halos 22 resource persons, matapos ang libu-libong pahina ng records, nagkaisa ang Committee on Justice. Unanimous po ang boto. The committee found probable cause to proceed with impeachment. At mahalagang tandaan, hindi nagsimula ang komite na magkakapareho ang pananaw. Marami ang nagtanong, marami ang nagtuda, marami ang nais munang makumbinsi. Ngunit habang dumarating ang mga dokumento, habang lumalabas ang testimonya, habang nabubuo ang kabuuang larawan, unti-unting luminaw ang isang bagay. May mga tanong na hindi maaaring iwasan. May mga issue na hindi maaaring ipagkibit balikat. May mga bagay na kailangan ng harapin ng buong bansa. At ito ang naging batayan ng Articles of Impeachment. Article 1, ukol sa confidential funds at paggamit ng kaban ng bayan, gamit ang mga questionableng dokumento. Article 2, ukol sa mga transaksyon at ari-ariang nangangailangan ng malinaw na paliwanag at reconciliation sa salin at idineklarang kita. Article 3, ukol sa aligasyon ng bribery at paggamit umano ng pera kapalit ng impluwensya at pabor. Article 4, ukol sa mga banta at mararahas na pahayag laban sa matataas na opisyal ng bansa na sa pananaw ng komite ay sapat upang litisin sa Senado. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, May mga aligasyong pinansyal na kailangan sagutin. May mga dokumentong kailangang ipaliwanag. Ngunit may isang bahagi ng usaping ito na higit na mabigat sapagkat hindi lamang pera ng bayan ang nakataya. Ang nakataya rito ay tiwala ng sambayanan at katatagan mismo ng ating republika. Sapagkat kapag ang isang mataas na pinuno ng bansa ay nagsasalita tungkol sa pagpatay sa Pangulo ng Republika, tungkol sa pakikipag-usap umano sa isang assassin, at tungkol sa posibilidad ng karahasan laban sa pinuno ng Estado, hindi maaaring ipagkibit balikat iyon bilang simpleng bugso lamang ng emosyon o ordinaryong alitan sa politika. May mga nagsasabing wala namang overt act. May mga nagsasabing emosyon lamang iyon. Ngunit, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, ang usapin dito ay hindi lamang kung may kasong kriminal. Ang usapin dito ay ang bigat ng mismong mga salitang binitawan ng isang pinakamataas na opisyal ng Republika. Sapagkat hindi pangkaraniwan para sa isang mataas na pinuno ng bansa na magsalita tungkol sa pakikipag-usap o pakikipag-ugnayan sa isang assassin kaugnay ng Pangulo ng Republika. Hindi ito simpleng init ng ulo. Hindi ito karaniwang political rhetoric at lalong hindi ito uri ng pananalita na inaasahan ng sambayanan mula sa matataas na opisyal ng bansa. Sapagkat ang mga salita ng mga pinuno ay may bigat. Maaari silang magbigay ng kapanatagan o maghasik ng pangamba sa sambayanan. At kapag ang mga nasa pinakamataas na antas ng pamahalaan ay tila inuuna ang karahasan kaysa kinahunan, hindi lamang mga opisyal ang naaapektuhan. Ang unang naaapektuhan ay ang ordinaryong Pilipino. Ang manggagawang nangangambang mawala ng hanap buhay kapag nagiging magulo ang kalagayan ng bansa. Ang pamilyang hirap na nga sa taas ng presyo ng bilihin at lalo pang nangangamba kapag humihina ang tiwala sa pamahalaan at ekonomiya. Ang maliliit na negosyong umaasa sa katahimikan at katatagan upang patuloy na makaraos araw-araw. At ang mga magulang na ang tanging hangad ay isang ligtas, maayos at matatag na kinabukasan para sa kanilang mga anak. Sapagkat sa panahon ng krisis, hindi karahasan ang hinahanap ng bayan sa kanilang mga pinuno. Ang hinahanap nila ay kapanatagan. Hindi takot, hindi pangamba, hindi kaguluhan. Sapagkat ang tunay na lakas ng pamumuno ay hindi nasusukat sa tapang at karahasan. Nasusukat ito sa kakayahang magbigay ng kaayusan, kapanatagan sa sambayanan, lalo sa panahon ng pangamba. At ito ngayon ang isa sa mga tanong na kailangang harapin ng sambayanang Pilipino. Anong uri ng asal, paghusga at pamumuno ang inaasahan natin mula sa mga pinunong pinagkakatiwalaan ng sambayanan? Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, ang mga articles of impeachment na nasa harap natin ngayon ay hindi simpleng political document. Ito ay salamin ng isang mas malaking tanong na bumabagabag sa sambayanang Pilipino. Anong uri ng pamumuno ba ang karapat-dapat sa ating bansa? Sapagkat ang usapin dito ay hindi lamang legal. Ito ay moral, ito ay constitutional. At dahil moral at constitutional ang usapin, hindi maaring takasan ng alinmang institusyon ang tungkuling ito. At kapag may mabibigat na pagdududa tungkol sa paggamit ng pera ng bayan, tungkol sa katapatan sa salin, tungkol sa asal at pananalita ng isang pinuno, Hindi maaring manahimik ang House of Representatives. Hindi tayo maaring magbulag-bulagan. Hindi tayo maaring matakot. Hindi tayo maaring maging kasabwat ng katahimikan. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, marahil ito ang isa sa pinakamabigat na boto na gagawin natin bilang mga halal na kinatawan ng bayan. Sapagkat ang pagboto natin ngayon ay hindi lamang tungkol sa isang tao. Ang pagboto natin ngayon ay tungkol sa uri ng republika na nais nating ipamana sa susunod na henerasyon. Kung mananaig ba ang pananagutan o ang takot? Kung mananaig ba ang katotohanan o ang ingay? Kung mananaig ba ang konstitusyon o ang kapangyarihan? At ngayon, balikan natin ang tanong na paulit-ulit nating naririnig. May numero ba tayo? Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, opo, meron po tayong numero. Ngunit ang numerong tinutukoy ko ay hindi lamang bilang ng boto. Nasa records po ang numero. 6.7 billion pesos. Iyan ang numerong kailangang may paliwanag sa sambayanang Pilipino. Iyan ang numerong hindi maaring ibaon sa limot. Iyan ang numerong nagtatanong kung may mga bagay bang kinakailangang lubos na may paliwanag sa sambayanang Pilipino. At sa Senado, naroon ang pagkakataon ng Vice Presidente na sagutin ng buo ang bawat aligasyon. Iharap ang kanyang ebidensya at marinig ng buong sambayanan ang kanyang panig. At kung hindi natin haharapin ang tanong na iyan ngayon, kailan pa? Kung hindi tayo kikilos ngayon, sino pa? Ang mga republika ay hindi bumabagsak sa isang iglap. Unti-unti silang humihina kapag ang pananagutan ay inuunahan ng takot. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, ang hinihingi lamang natin ngayon ay ipagpatuloy ang proseso. Bigyan natin ang pagkakataon ng Senado na dinggin ang buong katotohanan. Hayaan nating manaig ang ebidensya. Hayaan nating manaig ang proseso. Hayaan nating manaig ang konstitusyon. At sa huli, hayaan nating manaig ang bayan. With that, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, I respectfully urge this chamber to vote in favor of Committee Report number 261 and House Resolution number 989. Let us do our duty. Maraming salamat po.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, please recognize Representative Paulo Henry M. Marcoleta for his interpellation.
Representative Paulo Henry Marcoleta, party list Sagip, is hereby recognized. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Distinguished sponsor. Madam Sponsor, could you please identify the exact rule, resolution, order, or House authority that allowed the Committee on Justice to conduct impeachment hearing during the adjournment of session?
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, let us be reminded by the distinction between an impeachment process vis-a-vis the legislative process. The impeachment process is governed by Article 11 of the Constitution, whereas the legislative process is governed by Article 6 of the Constitution. Suffice it to state that there is entirely big difference between an impeachment process and a legislative process. As a matter of fact, Mr. Speaker, there is a different set of rules which govern the proceeding of impeachment. In the same manner that there is a different set of rules that govern our legislative process. Mr. Speaker, in other words, My distinguished colleagues, the impeachment process is not governed by breaks and recess. And to validate that, Mr. Speaker, the House of Representatives, before the break, before the start of the proceeding before the Justice Committee, even passed a resolution expressly authorizing the Justice Committee to proceed with its hearing, to exercise the compulsory process, and even to use the electronic mode of sending notices and documents. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, there is nothing under the rule which prohibits hearing of the Justice Committee during recess. It must be remembered, impeachment process is entirely different from the legislative process. I submit, Mr. Speaker.
So, Madam Sponsor, wala pong maipakita na dokumento ang distinguished sponsor authorizing the committee to conduct hearings during
Mr.
adjournment.
Speaker, if I may continue, it seems to this representation that the honorable gentleman is not listening. I have cited already that the House of Representatives passed a resolution.
Order, please. Silence.
That's why I'm asking for a resolution. Give me the copy.
May I request for a 30-second suspension?
Madam Sponsor,
Session
distinguished
suspended.
Mr. Speaker,
Session resumed. But
May I
before
be
that,
recognized, Mr. Speaker?
Before that, Majority Leader, I'd like to remind people in the gallery, please observe strict silence. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, ganyan din po ang karanasan ko sa komite. Meron ding audience participation. May palakpakan, may hiyawan din po. Kaya hindi na po bago sa akin itong ginagawa ng mga hakot ng mga audience na ito.
Majority
Anyway,
Leader.
Mr. Distinguished
Representative Marcoleta, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, to address the request of the Honorable Marcoleta, may I request that the Secretary General be directed to provide the Honorable Marcoleta a copy of the relevant plenary resolution authorizing the conduct of hearings.
Secretary General, please provide necessary corresponding copies. Please proceed, gentlemen.
And if I may read Article 11, Section 3, Paragraph 2 of the Constitution. A verified complaint for impeachment may be filed by any member of the House of Representatives or by any citizen upon a resolution or endorsement by any member thereof, which shall be included in the order of business within 10 session days and referred to the proper committee within 3 session days thereafter. The committee, after hearing and by a majority vote of all its members, shall submit its report to the House within 60 session days from such referral together with the corresponding resolution. The resolution shall be calendared for consideration by the House within 10 session days from receipt thereof. Doon po sa paragraph na binasa ko, 4 na beses pong binanggit ang session days. Wala pong binanggit na pwedeng mag-hearing ang impeachment, ang Committee on Justice habang naka-adjourn ang both houses.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, for purposes of our records, I am reading from the House Resolution number 892, the title of which, Resolution Authorizing the House Committee on Justice to implement Section 8 of the Rules of Procedure in impeachment proceedings relating to the protection of complainants and witnesses, and further authorizing the committee to continue the conduct of impeachment proceedings and the exercise of ancillary powers during the recess of the House of Representatives from 21 March 2026 to 3 May 2026. It is respectfully submitted, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, that all the proceedings before the Justice Committee is within the ambit expressly provided by the House of Representatives in Resolution number 892.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, just to further assure the Honorable Marcoleta that everything was done in accordance with our rules and with due process, we did not adjourn sine die. We are still on our first regular session. That is why the plenary can authorize the committee to conduct their hearings if necessary. That's all, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker. Representative
Again-
Marcoleta, please
again,
wrap
I
up.
still
Your
don't have-
3 minutes is up.
I'm still not furnished a copy.
Please wrap up. Your 3 minutes is up.
Let me go to my next question. Madam Sponsor, when this case is elevated to the Senate,
Mr. Speaker.
is the House asking the Senate to try the verified complaints as filed or the broader record developed by the committee during the hearings?
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, based on our rules and based on the Constitution, it is not the impeachment complaint, but instead the articles of impeachment that was approved by the Justice Committee, which, upon approval of the House of Representatives, will be transmitted to the Senate. Consequently, Mr. Speaker, the basis of the trial is not the impeachment complaint, but the articles of impeachment.
Which brings me to the follow-up question. Madam Sponsor, can you confirm for the record whether every factual allegation in the articles of impeachment appears in the verified complaints or in their attachment, and not merely in testimony or documents later introduced during the committee hearings?
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, we confirm that the contents of the articles of impeachment are consistent to the contents of the impeachment complaints which were deliberated upon before the Justice Committee. We have to consider as well that under the rules, notwithstanding the fact that the evidence is not attached to the complaint, so long as it is relevant to the impeachment complaint, the same is allowed by the rules of impeachment.
Representative
Ang
Marcoleta,
alam
your
ko po
time
kasi-
is up. Your 3 minutes is up.
Evidence may support a pleaded charge, but should not become a substitute for a verified charge. And let me go to my
Your time is up.
final question,
Representative Marcoleta.
Mr.
Last
Speaker.
question. I'll allow you last question.
Madam Sponsor, did the committee ever formally amend, require amendment of, or authorize supplementation of the verified complaints to include factual matters that emerged only during the hearings?
Mr. Speaker, we are consistent to the contents of the impeachment complaint. And if the honorable gentleman is requiring the Justice Committee to make it as a parameter that they should all be expressed in the impeachment complaint, then he is not aligned to the rules of impeachment. The rules of impeachment expressly allow even other relevant evidence, which means, notwithstanding that they are not expressly mentioned in the impeachment complaint, so long as they are relevant, they can effectively form part of the articles of impeachment.
Majority Leader.
Thank you to the Honorable Marcoleta. Next on the list, Mr. Speaker, please recognize Representative Robert Nazal for
Majority
his...
Leader,
Representative Robert Nasal
can I
of
just make
party list.
a closing statement?
BH is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, may I request the Honorable Marcoleta that he will have enough time for more manifestations, including his explanation of vote afterward.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you.
Speaker.
Representative Robert Nasal, party list BH is hereby recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Madam Sponsor, I just have a few questions. Do you confirm that the supplemental affidavit of Ramil Madriaga was not attached to the original complaints?
We confirm that, Mr. Speaker. Nonetheless, considering that the contents of the supplemental affidavit is germane, relevant to the allegations in the impeachment complaint, and even including his original affidavit, the rules of impeachment expressly allow the Justice Committee to include the same in our consideration.
Thank you, Madam Sponsor. Do you also confirm that the SAL-ends of the Vice President were not attached to the original complaints?
We confirm that, Mr. Speaker, but like my explanation earlier, the rule expressly allows other related evidence that is sanctioned by Section 7, Paragraph 2 of the Rules of Impeachment, which says, the committee shall have the power to issue compulsory processes for the attendance of witnesses and the production of documents and other related evidence. It is the submission of this representation, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, that in the allegations of unexplained wealth, non-disclosure in the SAL-N, notwithstanding that they are not attached in the impeachment complaint, they are very much relevant to the allegations of the offense.
Thank you, Madam Sponsor. Do you also confirm that the AMLC reports were not attached to the original complaints?
We confirm that, Mr. Speaker, but similarly, the AMLAC report is germane, the AMLAC report is relevant, the AMLAC report is significant in as far as allegations of unexplained wealth and non-disclosure in the SAL-N is concerned. As a matter of fact, Mr. Speaker, during the proceeding before the Justice Committee, the contradictory, the disparity between the SAL-N vis-a-vis the AMLAC report was very well established.
Thank you, Madam Sponsor. Mr. Speaker, Madam Sponsor, may I ask if the respondent Vice President was furnished with a copy of this particular report that discussed the 2 billion glitch reported by BPI?
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, we understand that all the documents submitted to the committee were furnished not only to the parties, the complainant and the Vice President, but also the justice members and the members of the House of Representatives. Having said so, it is submitted that it is our humble submission that the same is included among the documents transmitted to the respondent Vice President.
So nabigyan po natin sila, Madam Sponsor.
Because the instruction, Mr. Speaker, is to transmit all documents which form part of the proceeding of the Justice Committee, then it follows that all documents presented, if they are presented before the Justice Committee, were transmitted as well to the respondent.
Mr. Speaker, I respectfully manifest that these questions are not meant to prejudge the impeachment case or obstruct the constitutional power of this House. Ang layunin lang po ay malinaw na mailagay sa record ang isang mahalagang due process concern. Dapat ang impeachment complaints ay sapat sa kanilang sariling allegations at supporting documents at the time of filing. Kung ang material evidence tulad ng AMLC reports, corrected bank data, witness affidavits, COA records, at authenticated videos ay nakuha lamang during the committee proceedings, kailangan malinaw kung ang complaints ba ay sapat na noong inihain o nabuo lamang ang kaso pagkatapos. For this reason, before the House votes, may we respectfully request that the record clearly show which evidence was attached at filing and which evidence was obtained later. Ito ay mahalaga hindi lamang para sa respondent, kundi para sa integridad ng House at ng impeachment process. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Madam Sponsor.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, please recognize the statesman from Davao City, the Honorable Representative Isidro T. Ungab.
Honorable Isidro Ungab, 3rd District, Davao City, is hereby recognized.
Mr. Speaker, before I will ask my question, I would like to ask how many minutes am I allowed to ask for this interpellation?
You're given 3 minutes.
3 minutes only. I understand that's only supposed for the explanation of vote, but considering that it's only the time limited or given, so I will just go direct. I have a lot of questions supposedly. Will the sponsor, Madam Sponsor, may I continue?
I will be pleased to respond to the honorable gentleman.
Will the sponsor confirm that no leave was sought and no order was issued allowing either complainant to amend or supplement the consolidated complaint after March 16, 2026.
May we be clarified, Mr. Speaker? Which complaint does the gentleman refer to?
The two complaints, Your Honor, I am supposed to ask questions. There is no House rule and no Supreme Court precedent that allows silent amendment by post-answer evidence. If no leave was sought and no order was issued, then every post-answer factual addition is by definition outside the operative pleading.
Mr. Speaker, if the gentleman is referring to the two impeachment complaints, the third impeachment complaint, that is Abalia et al., and the fourth impeachment complaint, that is Cabrera, the Justice Committee did not amend any of those complaints. What the Justice Committee did is to conduct a clarificatory hearing for the purpose of the determination of the existence of probable cause. And it is for the same reason that the Justice Committee exercised its compulsory power, such as the issuance of subpoena ad testificandum and subpoena duces tecum. There is no amendment that happened, Mr. Speaker. Other relevant documents were considered, but the same is for the purpose of responding to the mandate of the determination of whether probable cause exists or otherwise.
If the new evidence merely supports existing allegations, will the sponsor identify the existing allegations in a Sabalia or Cabrera complaint that placed the respondent on notice of A, 1, 313 personal CTRs, second, 1.83 billion in personal inflows, 3, the Madriaga supplemental claim of Malacanang armed assault, 4, the names of Kalilong, Lotok, and Anglubin. Are these present in the original verified complaint?
Mr. Speaker, both the Sabalian complaint and the Cabrera complaint mentioned about unexplained wealth and non-disclosure in the SALN. And again, inviting the attention of the members of the House to the test of relevance, test of significance, even if the attachments or the evidence is not attached to the impeachment complaint at the onset, so long as it is relevant, so long as it is germane, so long as it is connected. The rules of impeachment expressly allow the Justice Committee to include the same in the consideration of evidence for the purpose of the determination of probable cause.
I actually disagree, but let me continue, Your Honor. Will the sponsor confirm that the Madriaga supplemental affidavit, dated April 11, Annex W of the articles, was executed 26 days after the filing of the respondent's answer?
Nonetheless, Mr. Speaker, following the test of relevance, Mr. Madriaga is alleging the delivery of the confidential fund to the identified locations in his supplemental affidavit. This statement, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, is of course relevant to the allegation of misuse of confidential fund, and therefore, this should be considered in the determination of probable cause as the same is expressly allowed under paragraph 2, section 7 of the rules of impeachment.
Mr. Speaker, the supplemental affidavit is annexed to the very articles to be transmitted. It is footnoted at footnote 84 of the Article 4 as the evidentiary anchor for assassination, civil obedience, and armed assault at Malacanang, Palace to ensure respondents' assumption of power before 2028. That language does not appear in either the Sabalia or Cabrera complaint. The dates are uncontroverted on the face of the articles themselves. Your Honor, March 16, yung ating respondent ay nag-reply na.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, the question being raised by the honorable gentleman is the same question that has been raised for 3 times already. Notwithstanding that the supplemental affidavit was not yet existing prior to the filing of the impeachment complaint, Section 7, Paragraph 2 allow the consideration of the same, considering that the supplemental affidavit is relevant to the allegations of offenses. If I may add, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, let us be reminded that the threshold that was given to the Justice Committee for the purpose of the determination of probable cause is very minimal, and that is probable cause. When we say probable cause, the Supreme Court pronounced and described the same in the past impeachment processes as merely reasonable justification for us to be able to proceed to trial. With that, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, we submit that all the evidences not present during the filing but present during the proceeding are relevant evidence and therefore must be considered as well by the Justice Committee.
My time is expired, but one last comment,
Okay.
Mr. Speaker. The consolidated articles of impeachment, which is supposedly a product of the two verified complaints, has been expanded and has it included new evidence, and it is only fair and fitting that the respondent should be asked to reply first before that is being brought here in this plenary. That is my point, Mr. Speaker. Where is due process here? If the respondent was not allowed to answer the consolidated articles of impeachment.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, as to the question which is being repeatedly raised by the honorable gentleman, let me manifest our position for the last time. Regardless of the fact that the evidence are not yet attached, not yet present, not yet available during the filing of the impeachment complaint, so long as the same is relevant, Paragraph 2, Section 7 of Rules of Impeachment expressly allow the Justice Committee to include the same in the consideration for the purpose of the determination of probable cause. With regards to his second manifestation, Mr. Speaker, that the respondent Vice President was not given due process, the records will show from day one of the justice proceeding, we've been sending notices to the respondent Vice President. As a matter of fact, even after each resource person, for 3 consecutive clarificatory hearings, we were calling the Vice President just to make sure that we're able to cater ample due process because we are consistent to the rules of impeachment, the Constitution, and even the decisions of the Supreme Court.
Representative Ungab, please
Be
wrap up.
allowed just one last comment to answer. The argument stated by the lady sponsor conflates 2 doctrinally distinct constitutional requirements. First, 1, what is required? Procedural attendance, the right to be present, to file pleadings, and to participate in proceedings. And second, substantive fair notice, the right to know in advance and with specificity the factual case one is required to meet. The Constitution in Antibay Gutierrez versus House Committee on Justice, and most recently decided Vice President Sara Duterte versus House of Representatives, which was denied with finality, required, and the record will show that the committee provided the first but withheld the second. Whenever post-filing evidence introduced factual predicates absent from the 4 corners of the verified complaint. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, I wish to invite the attention of the Honorable Ungab, my distinguished colleague, that the Vice President, during the determination of sufficiency in substance, upon the determination of sufficiency in substance, was indeed sent a notice for her to file her answer. Indeed, the Justice Committee received the answer. However, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, the answer raises constitutional questions similar to those pending before the Honorable Supreme Court. It never responded directly to the allegations of the complaint. To complete my response, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, as I have said, in the entire proceeding of the Justice Committee, the respondent Vice President was duly notified. And after presentation of every resource person, she was being called by the committee secretary to make sure that due process will be provided to the respondent Vice President. With that, Mr. Speaker, it is our humble submission that we complied fully, amply, to the requirement of due process, be it substantive or procedural.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Please recognize the gentleman from the 1st District of Batangas, the Honorable Leandro Legarda Leviste, for his
Honorable
interpellation.
Leandro Antonio Legarda Leviste, 1st District of Batangas, is hereby recognized.
Magandang
have
hapon
3
po
minutes.
sa aking kababayan, Madam Chair. Madam, is selective justice justice or injustice?
We are not abiding with selective injustice, inasmuch as we do not abide in selective accountability. And I have mentioned that in my sponsorship speech.
So selective justice is injustice, therefore if we hold some to account, we should hold all to account.
That is correct.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Would you support the House resuming the flood control investigations?
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, in our response to the mandate of transparency and accountability, we have to distinguish between an impeachable official and non-impeachable official.
I'm asking for your personal position on
For
this.
impeachable official, Mr. Speaker, we follow the rules of impeachment, both of the House of Representatives and of the Senate. For non-impeachable official, it will depend on the nature of investigation or case which the gentleman from the 1st District of Batangas wishes to initiate.
Let me reiterate the question,
Nevertheless,
Madam.
Mr. Speaker, there is proper forum, there is proper rules that apply to every remedy that is given to the Filipino people.
So may I ask again, Madam, would you support the House resuming the flood control investigations?
Mr. Speaker, may I be recognized?
Majority Leader.
While I understand the concern of the Honorable Leviste to pursue accountability in all matters involving Congress and the government itself, may I request the gentleman from Batangas not to stray from our deliberations involving the resolution.
So the House does not want to make a statement today on whether it wishes to resume the flood control investigations.
Mr. Speaker, we will not make any statement outside our deliberations on the impeachment complaints.
Thank
May I
you, Mr.
remind
Chair.
Representative Leviste to
Thank you.
confine
I will move
your
to my next
interpellation and question to the resolution under consideration.
I will move to my next topic. Thank you. Do you support transparency in the use of public funds?
Definitely, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I heard that on March 18, some members of Congress got Easter break bonuses or additional MOOE of 2 million pesos or more, and those who do not support the impeachment did not get this extra MOOE. Do you know anything about this, Madam Chair, and how much MOOE have you gotten this year?
Mr. Speaker, I deny the allegation of the honorable gentleman from Batangas, but it is my observation as well that the statement is no longer relevant to the subject matter of this impeachment.
Madam
proceeding.
Chair, I just want to make this clear before the members of Congress cast their votes. Because there is, first of all, confirmed information that some members of Congress got 2 million pesos on March 18. But on the impeachment,
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Chair, just on the impeachment,
Just
Majority
on-
Leader.
on the
Mr.
impeachment,
Speaker, the Honorable Legarda Leviste
just on the
is
impeachment, Mr.
free
Chair.
to speak his mind after the voting, so long as
Mr.
we
Chair,
stay.
just on the impeachment, Senator Amy Marcos said those who vote for the impeachment will get 20 million pesos. And I just want to make it clear if this is true or not, because if it is true, then it should be made public. And if some are getting the 20 million and others are not getting the 20 million, then it should at least be fair that everyone who votes gets 20 million, and those who do not vote hopefully should also be given that, because this is taxpayers' money and should not be allocated on the basis of your vote on the impeachment.
Mr. Speaker, on behalf of all the members of the House of Representatives, I categorically deny any statement made by
This
the
is what
Senator.
Senator Amy Marcos said.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. May I request the Honorable Leviste to proceed with his interpellation
Okay.
regarding the resolution and the articles of impeachment.
I have one last topic on this, which is, for the sake of the other members of Congress, is it true or not true that those who vote against the impeachment will lose benefits for their vote? So that before we cast our votes, we will know whether doing so will result in us losing our benefits or not.
Mr. Speaker, may I be recognized once more?
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the House, we categorically deny any such allegations, and we would like to thank the Honorable Legarda for his pursuit of accountability and
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
transparency.
I would like to
Honorable-
thank you for putting it on the
Honorable
record.
Ligarda,
Mr.
your
Chair
time
actually
is
made
up.
a very
I'll give
good
you
thing.
one last question.
No one should lose their benefits for their vote today. And lastly, I would like to ask if the House Committee on Accounts and the DBM can release all data on the budgetary releases for MOOE or for infrastructure or any other budgets so that we can ascertain whether it is true or not what Senator Amy Marcos said. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there being no other member to interpolate the sponsor or make any manifestation, I move to adopt House Resolution number 989 together with the findings, conclusions, and recommendations contained in Committee Report number 261, and for this purpose, direct the Secretary General to call the roll of members for nominal voting.
The Secretary General is hereby directed to call the roll of members for nominal voting. The Chair reminds all members that the House is now in process of voting, and pursuant to the rules, the voting process shall not be interrupted at any other business or question. Members who wish to explain their vote shall be recognized after the announcement of the results and shall be allotted 3 minutes each for such purpose. Secretary General, conduct the nominal voting.
Roll of members, Abalos, Abante, Asidre, Acop, Acosta, Adyong, Advincula, Agrao, Agyao, Alano, Alba, Albano, Almario Chino Manuel, Almario Dennis, Almonte, Alvarez Jose, Alvarez Mercedes, Amante, Amatong, Angara, Angeles, Aquino, Aquino Magsaysay, Arbison Munir, Arbison Munir Jr., Arenas, Arrogancia, Asistio, Ataide, Aumentado, Ayon, Bagao.
Mr. Speaker, I vote yes, and I will explain my vote after everyone has voted. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Balindong, Banyas Nograles, Bangkoro, Barba, Barbers, Baronda, Barzaga,
Mr. Speaker, I vote no, and I will be explaining my vote later.
Baskug,
I am voting no, and I will explain my vote later also.
Bautista Claude, Bautista Joan Monique, Bautista Lim, Beltran, Benitez Alfredo, Benitez Javier Miguel, Bernos Ching, Bernos JB, Biron, Bocobo, Bulilia, Bondok, Briones, Bulut Begtang, Cagas, Calderon, Calixto, Kawagdan, Cari, Castro, Caiton, Celeste, Sendanya,
Mr. Speaker, I vote yes, and I will explain my vote later.
Ceniza, Chan Jan Franz Norbert Joselito Almario, Chan Junard, Chua, Chuatay, Chungalaw, Ko Pilar, Coanco Jaime Eduardo Mark, Coanco Mark, Colliantes.
Mr. Speaker.
Speaker, I vote yes. I vote yes.
Mr. Speaker, I vote yes, and I reserve the right to explain my vote later. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, tinawag na kasi pangalan ko kanina, sa labas ako. I abstain.
Colliantes, Corvera.
Mr. Speaker, My vote is no, but I would like to explain my vote later. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Cruz Agatha, Cruz Ricardo, Cruzado, Kua, Dagook, Dalog, Dayang Hirang, Daza, De Jesus, De Lima.
Mr. Speaker, this representation from the Mamamayang Liberal ML party list votes yes, and will explain later. Thank you.
De Venecia, Defensor, De Gamo, Del Mar, De Los Santos.
Mr. Speaker, this representation votes no, and I'd like to explain my vote later.
De Los Santos, Di Makuha, Di Magila, Di Maporo Imelda, Di Maporo City Amina, Diokno.
Mr. Speaker, I vote yes. I will explain my vote later.
Dionisio, Domingo, Domogan, Duterte Harold James, Duterte.
Mr. Speaker, I vote yes, and I'm submitting my explanation in writing, Mr. Speaker.
Duterte Omar Vincent, Duterte Paulo, D. Faustino, D. Faustino Michael Carlos, D. Ian Paul, Elago.
Mr. Speaker, this representation from Gabriela Women's Party votes yes, and I will explain my vote later. Thank you.
Emano, Enverga, Erice.
Mr. Speaker, I abstain from the voting, and please register my previous privileged speech last Tuesday as my explanation of vote. Thank you.
Escudero, Espares, Espina, Estrella, Ferrer Antonio, Ferrer Jeffrey, Flores, Fortes, Frasco, Presnedi, Fuentebella, Galang, Galeyos, Garbin, Garcia Albert, Garcia Dante, Garcia Jose Arturo, Garcia Karen Hope.
Mr. Speaker, my vote is no, and I reserve the right to submit a written explanation of my vote. Thank you.
Garcia Maria Angela, Guardiola, Garin, Gatchalian, Gato, Glepa, Go, Gomez, Gonzales Alexandria, Gonzales Alisa Micaela, Gonzales Christopher Sheen, Gonzales Roy, Goriseta, Guico, Gintu.
Mr. Speaker, I vote yes.
Gulyas, Gutierrez, Hernandez Charissa Ann, Hernandez Dennis, Hernandez Ferdinand, Hernandez Ramil, Hofer Hasim, Horibata, Ismula.
Mr. Speaker, my vote is yes and wish to explain my vote later.
Iway, Javier, Ko Antonio, Ko Elisa, Ko Wilton, Kong Hun, Ko, Labad-Labad, Lacson, Lagbas, Lagdameo Jose Manuel, Lagdameo Monique Yasmin Maria, Lagman.
Mr. Speaker, my vote is yes, and I wish to explain my vote later.
Lagon Daphne, Lagon Sonny, Lara, Lasatin, Ledesma, Legacion, Legarda, Legaspi, Leviste, Libanan, Lopez, Loria, Loyola, Luistro, Lumayag, Macapagal Arroyo, Makasaet, Maceda, Madrona, Malapitan, Manguda Datu, Manikis, Maranyon, Marcoleta, Marcos.
Mr. Speaker, Sagip Party List votes no, and I reserve the right to explain my vote later after nominal voting. Thank you.
Marquez, Mastura, Matibag, Matugas, Mendoza, Mercado, Mercado Revilla.
Mr. Speaker, my vote is no.
Miraflores, Momo, Montes, Nava, Nazal, Nisay, Nolasco,
Mr. Speaker, this representation from Bagong Henerasyon Party List votes no, and I would like the chance to explain my vote later.
Nolasco, Owaminal Henry, Owaminal Sancho Fernando, Oducado, Olivares, Ongchuan, Ordanes, Oreta, Ortega, Uwano Dizon, Padiernos, Panaligan, Pancho, Panotes, Pascual, Perez, Pimentel, Plaza, Plato, Poe, Primicias Agabas, Pumaren, Puno, Kimbo, Rama, Recto, Regencia, Remulla, Revilla Brian, Revilla Ramon Jolo, Ridon, Rivera, Robes, Rodriguez Yuloyo, Rodriguez Maximo, Rodriguez Rufus, Roman.
Mr. Speaker, I vote yes and I wish to explain my vote later.
Romualdez Andrew Julian, Romualdez Ferdinand Martin, Romualdez Yeda Marie, Romualdo, Romulo, Roque, Sagar Baria, Sakaluran, Salceda, Sally, Salvacion, Salvador, Salvame, San Fernando.
Mr. Speaker, this representation votes yes, but with strong reservations, and I would like to explain my vote after the nominal voting.
Santos Maria Alana Samantha, Santos Mark Anthony,
Mr. Speaker, this representation from the Lone District of Las Piñas votes yes. Thank you.
Shimura, Singson
Mr.
Richelle,
Speaker, my vote is no.
Singson Richelle, Singson Ronald, Singson Mihan, Solon, Soriano, Suwan, Swansing Bella Vanessa, Swansing Micaela Angela, Suarez, Suntay.
Mr. Speaker, I vote no and I will explain my vote.
Talyado, Tan Ayman, Tan Joseph, Tan Keith Mika, Tan Reynolds Michael, Tan Samir, Tan Stephen James, Tanchay, Tanwatco, Tariela, Teodoro, Tereng, Tevez, Tiangco, Tieng,
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I vote yes and I will explain my vote later.
Tieng, Tino,
Mr. Speaker, yes ang boto ko and I will explain later.
Tolentino, Tuan, Tulfo Jocelyn, Tulfo Ralph Wendell, Tupas, Tutor,
Mr. Speaker, ang bagang tingog sa katauhan sa Tercero Distrito is no, and I'll explain my vote. Thank you.
T, Umali, Ungab,
I am voting no, and I'll explain my vote later.
Uy De Carlo, Uy Roberto, Valeriano, Vargas, Vargas Alfonso, Veloso, Veloso Tuazon,
Mr. Speaker, Malasakit at Bayanihan Party List votes no. I reserve the right to submit a written explanation later.
Vergara, Villa, Villafuerte Miguel Luis, Villafuerte Vincenzo Renato Luigi, Villanueva, Villarica, Violago,
Mr. Speaker, the third district of Nueva Ecija votes no, and I reserve my explanation later.
Violago, Yamsuan, Yap Arthur, Yap Christopherson, Yap Eric, Yap Jan Gisnel, Yatko, Inares, Yu Jazel Victoria, Yu Joseph Kim, Yulo, Zamora Maria Carmen, Zamora Isabel Maria, Zubiri.
Mr. Speaker, I respectfully abstain and I will explain my vote later.
Second call, adoption of committee report number 261. Alano, Alba, Almario Chino Miguel, Ayon, Baskug, Bautista Claude, Bautista Lim, Chan Jan Franz Norbert Joselito, Cua, De Los Santos, Garbin, Garcia Jose Arturo, Hernandez Dennis, Lacson, Macapagal Arroyo, Nisay, Oreta, Perez, Plaza, Singson Ronald, Singson Mihan, Solon, Tan Samir, Tanwatco, Uy De Carlo, Villanueva, Yap Arthur C. Yap Christopherson. Inares.
Next week po kayo? Next week? Kayo ba ngayon, Mark? Yeah. Only when needed.
Muli po ang aking pagpapaalala sa lahat ng pagpapanatili ng kaayusan at paggalang sa proseso na ating kapulungan sa pagpapatuloy ng sesyon ng plenaryo. Sa pag-anunsyo ng resulta ng desisyon ng miyembro ng House of Representatives, mahigpit pong ipinagbabawal ang anumang pagpapakita ng pagsasang-ayon o pagtutol tulad ng pagpalakpak, pagsigaw, pagpapakita ng mga placard o anumang kahalintulad na kilos sa loob ng bulwagan at sa galeriya. Hinihiling po natin ang pakikisa ng lahat upang mapanatili ang dignidad at wastong decorum sa kapulungan at sa lahat ng oras. With 255 members voting in the affirmative, 26 against, 9 abstention, House Resolution number 989, together with the findings, conclusion, recommendations contained in Committee Report number 261 are hereby adopted. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize the Honorable Representative Bienvenido M. Abante Jr. of the 6th District of Manila to explain his vote.
Representative Abante, 6th District, Manila, is hereby recognized.
Thank you, Majority Leader. And thank you, my dear Speaker. Psalms 11:3 says, "If the foundations be destroyed, what can the righteous do?" Today, the whole of Congress has spoken. This was the statement of one of the most powerful kings Israel ever had, King David. But first of all, Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, I would like first to commend the chairman of the Committee on Justice for shepherding with boldness and fairness these impeachment hearings. As we move closer to the impeachment trial, Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, this is no longer just about politics. This is about conscience, duty, and the future of our nation. Uulitin ko po, this is not about 2028. This is not about political alliances. This is about whether we still believe that no one is above the law. And I believe this with all my heart, and so do many of my colleagues in this chamber. Our vote today is not a declaration of guilt. It is a declaration that when serious allegations are raised against one of the highest officials of the land, Congress cannot look away. Congress cannot remain silent. Congress must act according to the Constitution and according to conscience. An impeachment ay hindi dapat gawing laro ng politika. This is a constitutional process with consequences not just for today, but for generations to come. The Filipino people deserve a trial that is fair, impartial, and rooted in the rule of law. And now, as the responsibility shifts to the Senate, which will sit as an impeachment court, I ask our countrymen to pray for our senator judges. Pray not for one side or another to win politically, but for truth to prevail. Pray that our senator judges be guided by wisdom, fairness, and integrity. Let us pray that they be swayed by their conscience and guided by the evidence before them, rather than by political pressure from various camps. As it is written in James 5:16, and I quote, "Confess your faults one to another, and pray for one another, that ye may be healed. The effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much." End of quote. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, I am fully aware that history will judge the decisions we make today. Years from now, my grandchildren will look back at this chapter in our nation's history and ask how their lolo voted when the country was confronted with different questions about truth, accountability, and justice. I want them to know that their lolo stood on the side of conscience and conviction. Mr. Speaker, I want them to be proud that I chose to do what I believe was right. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to recognize Representative June Asidre from Party List Tingog. So moved, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Jude Asidre, Party List Tingog, is hereby recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I vote yes to the impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte. I say this with a heavy heart and with full awareness of the weight of this decision. This is not a vote that I cast lightly. In truth, this is a decision I struggled with deeply. I campaigned for Vice President Sara Duterte in 2022. I supported her candidacy. I believed in her capacity to lead and to serve. That is why when the allegations first surfaced and the hearings began, I did not rush to judgment. I listened, I waited, I searched for answers. I wanted to believe there was an explanation that could satisfy the demands of truth, accountability, and public trust. But as the hearings progressed, the evidence became clearer. Testimony after testimony, document after document, fact after fact, a pattern emerged that could no longer be dismissed, explained away, or set aside. The evidence before us was not vague. It was not light. It was not something I could pretend away simply because the decision was difficult. It was substantial, serious, and overwhelming. And when the evidence becomes overwhelming, conscience leaves us with only one honest choice. After several committee hearings, after hours of testimony, after reviewing the records, documents, and deliberations, I came to a difficult but necessary conclusion. There are compelling grounds to support the impeachment complaint. Public service, Mr. Speaker, sometimes asks us to make difficult decisions. At times, it asks us to stand apart from those we once stood with. It asks us to place duty above comfort, conscience above convenience, and country above loyalty. I voted to approve the impeachment complaint because my conscience would not allow me to do otherwise. I signed it because accountability must always remain consequential to our democracy. I signed it because no public office, however high, should be beyond scrutiny. I voted to approve it because overwhelming evidence carries a moral demand. It asks us to act. Mr. Speaker, here I stand and I can do no other. This vote is not about politics. It's not about public judgment. It is about the rule of law. It is about institutional accountability. It is about the courage to follow the evidence wherever it leads, even when it means standing against someone we once supported. Today, I vote yes because I believe in the promise of public service. I still believe in the dignity of our institutions. I still believe that truth must matter, accountability must prevail, and conscience must guide those entrusted with power. For this reason, Mr. Speaker, I vote yes to the impeachment complaint.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to recognize Representative Kaka J. Bagao of the Lone District of Dinagat Island.
Honorable Kaka Bagao, Lone District of Dinagat Island, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I vote yes to House Resolution 989, including the articles of impeachment against the Vice President. Naniniwala po ako, Mr. Speaker, na sa karapatan ng mga mamamayan na marinig ang katotohanan at ang mga ebidensya laban sa sinumang opisyal ng gobyerno. Naniniwala po ako na lahat tayo ay may karapatang humingi ng rekurso at solusyon laban sa pang-aapi, pandaraya at pagsisinungaling ng mga opisyal. Naniniwala po ako na bawat isa sa atin, lalo na ang mga opisyal ng Kongreso, ay may obligasyong alamin at itaguyod ang saligang batas at mga demokratikong institusyon. Matagal kong pinagnilayan ang mga akusasyon at ebidensya na prinisenta sa komite ng Kongreso. Hindi ko maaaring talikuran at isantabi ang mga naganap na paglabag sa ating mga karapatan. Dapat harapin ng Vice Presidente ang mga mabibigat na aligasyon laban sa kanya. Isip Mindanaon nga dugay na nakasinati og kagubot, kapobrihon ug kalayo sa kaayuhan, kinahanglan karon ng atong pagbarog alang sa hustisya, kalambuan ug ang atong katungdanan aron panalipdan ang kamatuoran. Daghang salamat, Mr. President.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to recognize Representative Maria Vanessa Aumentado of the 2nd District of Bohol.
Mayong hapon sa tanan.
Representative Aumentado is hereby recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mayong hapon sa tanan. My vote is no, guided by my commitment to listen to the voice and sentiments of the majority of my constituents in the 2nd District of Bohol. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to recognize Representative Sherlyn L. Banyas Nograles of the Lone District of General Santos City.
Honorable Sherlyn Banyas Nograles, Lone District, General Santos, is hereby recognized.
Mr. Speaker, my vote is no. Let me state at the outset, accountability is non-negotiable. Public office is a public trust, and every public official must remain answerable to the Filipino people. As representatives of the people, we do not speak only for ourselves in this chamber. We carry the voices, concerns, and aspiration of the people we represent. After careful consideration of the facts, arguments, the quiet call of fairness that must guide this chamber, and the sentiments of my constituents, I rise today to cast my vote in accordance with that mandate. Let me be clear. A no vote today does not diminish our duty to demand transparency, uphold accountability, and ensure that all public officials remain answerable to the Filipino people. We must be mindful of the weight of this constitutional remedy. Impeachment is not a routine instrument of political contest. It is an extraordinary measure reserved for the most compelling circumstances. To lower its threshold risks weakening the very institution it is meant to protect. We must also recognize that the office of the Vice President carries the sovereign mandate of nearly 32 million Filipinos. Any effort to remove its occupant must respect the will of the electorate, for in a democracy, legitimacy is ultimately rooted in the voice of the people. Vox populi, vox Dei. But beyond the legal and institutional questions, we are confronted today with a deeper national reality. Our people are weary. They face rising prices, economic strain, and declining trust in public institutions. We must therefore ask ourselves with honesty and sobriety, what lies ahead after this moment? Will it ease the burdens of our citizens, or deepen the divisions we already carry? Will it bring us closer to solution or further away from the urgent needs of our nation? Beyond these halls, our citizens continue to struggle with the rising cost of food, fuel, and basic commodities. They seek not prolonged political conflict, but relief, stability, and responsive governance. Perhaps then, this is a moment that calls us not only to decide, but to reflect, not only to proceed, but to reset. Though it may seem impossible at this point, but in the inner recesses of my heart, I remain deeply hopeful. A reset in our politics so that it may return to its rightful purpose. A reset in our priorities so that the burden of our people stand at the center of our deliberations. A reset in our tone so that disagreement does not